This is Dita's story, how an unwanted fluffball full of love, feistiness, and snuggles brought joy to my life. Welcome to Tales and Tales, brought to you by Soot Cinders. This series is essentially a pet podcast meets a process video. So I show you the time-lapsed process of me burning a custom pet portrait, while also telling you funny, sweet, and/or heartwarming stories about the pet I'm drawing. Because every pet is amazing. So Dita was my cat from 2012 to 2025. I adopted her when she was at least 3 years old, so she was at least 15 when she passed away. Now on this series, we acknowledge that death of our pets is incredibly painful, but that's not what the series is about. And so I'm not going to be telling the details about how she died. This is about the life before that, and an amazing life it was. So I adopted her in 2013 because of Hibiki. Hibiki was my cat that was covered in the previous episode. You can go back and watch that, episode 1. You can see his portrait and hear his stories. And he had been my cat for about a year and a half. And he had started as an outside cat. He had been abandoned in my neighborhood and was afraid to come inside. He didn't want to be there. It made him anxious. But over the course of a year and a half, he started spending more time inside. And then after a particularly bad cat fight he got into where he was very seriously injured, needed a lot of medical care, I'm like, okay, this is it, son, you're coming inside. He was not happy about that. He was acting up, and you could tell he was getting very anxious being alone inside while I was at work. So I thought, all right, I'll get another cat. I'll rescue another cat. And then he'll have a buddy and they can keep each other company, and this will be better for him. And it was, but not right away. So first, when I went to get her at the rescue, I was very worried that I wouldn't know how to choose just one. All these cats in need, and I would feel too guilty. She made it easy for me. It was like the cat distribution system at work here, even though it was in a rescue. And she chose me. They said she'd never done this before to anyone, but she came right up to me. She got on her back legs and was patting me with her front paws, like up on my leg, wanting me to pick her up. So I'm like, okay, picked her up. And she's immediately licking my neck and my face. Like, oh, okay, hello. And so that's how that started. When I brought her home, it was not love at first sight between her and Hibiki, however. And it took 6 months of having them in separate rooms when I wasn't present, and very gradually getting them acclimated to each other. And it was 6 months before I felt totally confident leaving them alone together that nothing bad would happen. And after that rocky start, they became best friends. They did. They were always next to each other. They'd sleep next to each other. They would groom each other. It was really quite sweet. And Hibiki wasn't a huge cat, but he outweighed her by a few pounds. She was at her biggest 7.5 pounds. She was tiny. She was an itty bitty thing. She was all fur, all fluff. But she would never back down. She wasn't aggressive in that she didn't pick fights or go after things, but she didn't back down. It was kind of like if you've seen the Disney movie, The Aristocats. It's a quote, I believe it's Marie, the little white kitten, that she says, ladies do not start fights, but they can finish them. And that was Dita. So for example, I had my front door open, but the heavy glass storm door closed so that they could sit there and look out through that front door. They liked doing that, watching the world. And they're both sitting there, and my neighbor lets his pit bull off the leash, and the pit bull sees them through the door and comes flying up, charging the glass door. Hibiki, he's gone. He's immediately runs away down the hallway. And Dita, she stands her ground. She sits there. She stares. And I go to close the door, but before I do, I see Dita, and I'm like, okay, what's she doing? And she's walking towards the pit bull, and she's getting puffier and puffier, and she's puffing up, and she's taking the steps toward him, and the pit bull's kind of like, you know what I am, right? I'm like outweigh you by 50, 60 pounds. You know this, right? Dita does not know this. She's walking up, she's getting bigger, and then she charges. She runs at that door and slams her front paws up against the glass. And that pit bull, that scared the life out of him. He's like, whoa, and he runs. He turns tail. He is out of there. Because it's like, what does she know that I don't know? That this feisty little fluff ball is charging me. She was also very talkative. She had inflection and tone in her meows. I swear she learned from humans how we express ourselves with intonation, because it sounded like words sometimes. Like when she was upset, if you heard the meow, like, I've never heard you meow before, cat, but I know you are upset, because it sounds like when a human's upset. It was pretty amazing. But her primary personality trait was being a snuggle bunny. She was so cuddly. She would ask to be picked up every morning and would give me licks on my face. I said, my morning bath. She's got to like my face. Like, okay, thank you. She always wanted to be carried. She wouldn't let you put her down. Like, you're like, okay, I got to put you down now. And you start leaning over to carefully put her down. And she would either lean in the opposite direction or she'd grab onto your shirt with her claws, or both. I work from home, and she always had to be sitting in my lap on my desk with her head, resting on my arm, on my mouse arm. And so eventually I got a second little cheap office chair and put it next to me so she could like sit there, but not be necessarily on my laptop or on my desk. I think all pets have some little idiosyncrasies that make each one of them very unique, and things that you think, I don't think I will ever have a pet again that does this. So for Dita, here's mine. She had a love of my clothes, but only, if I'd worn them. And really loved them. So when I'd come home, back when I worked, like pre-COVID, when I worked in an office, and I would come home, and I would get out of my business casual clothes and put on sort of house play clothes, as I call them. And so, kind of toss them on the ground as I'm getting changed before I take them, put them in the laundry. And I'd look over and she'd be like hugging the shirt and rolling around, holding the shirt and licking it and just rubbing her head on it. You silly thing. So it became a nightly sort of tradition. Like, here you go, Dita, play with the blouse. Another thing that she did is there was a cat perch that was in the kitchen, and it had these little cat toys, these little round balls, cat toys, hanging from elastic cords underneath. And she never played with them. Neither Hibiki didn't either. I don't know if any cats ever played with those kind of things, but they didn't. And she would go up every single morning and she would hook with her claw, hook one of those balls and pull it way down, pull the elastic, stretch it all the way out. And then it looked like she was grooming herself with the elastic cord, like brushing her fur back on her cheeks. And it always looked like someone like, I'm getting ready for the day. I have to brush my hair. My favorite quirk of hers was that she loved music. Especially she loved it when I would sing. And she loves high notes. I can't hit super high notes, but what few high notes I could hit, she loved it. And her two favorite songs, she would come running when I would sing these songs and try to get in my face. Like she'd climb on either in my lap or in whatever furniture was closest to where I was standing and like try to get her nose right up against my nose so she could be like right there in the song. And it was I See the Light from Disney's Tangled, and also, I kid you not, the theme song to the 2012 animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series. And she loved it. Every single time, I could play that opening theme song and start singing the theme song along with it. And every time when I got to the point where it's naming the turtles, if you go listen to it, it's the Leonardo's a leader in blue, that part. Every time she'd be like, what? I am being summoned by the turtles. And she would come and get right in my face. And you could use it if she didn't want to come when you called her, like if you needed her for some reason or she was hiding and you couldn't find her. You call her and she doesn't come, you start singing, then she's going to come. Now, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but when I rescued her, they told me that she had been returned 3 times. I don't know why. They didn't say. I don't know if they didn't know or if they just didn't want to scare me away. But she had been returned 3 times, 3 different families. And that's part of the reason why I was willing to spend 6 months trying to get the two of them, Hibiki and Dita, to get along. One, because, she had chosen me, so it kind of felt we already had a connection. And even though, our bond grew over time, I did like her, obviously, from the very beginning. But especially in those first early days, I didn't want to take her back, and she'd been returned. Then she would have been returned 4 times. Like, she never would have gotten adopted. Like, who's going to come in and say, oh, this cat's been returned 4 times, and go like, yeah, I'll take a chance on that. I didn't want that fate for her. So I suspect it was probably, it could have been that they had dogs or cats that she didn't get along with, and they didn't want to take the time to try to slowly, gradually over months, get them acclimated to each other. It could have been that because she had some health problems. She did have problems with food. She had a very sensitive tummy. She would throw up a lot. And it took some doing to try to find a food that was both appropriate for her sensitive tummy and also that she liked. So I would just like to say to those 3 families that rejected her, thank you. Thank you for giving her back so that I could have her. I had Hibiki and Dita together, and even though I had Hibiki for 1.5 years before Dita, they will always be linked in my mind as Hibiki and Dita. They were there for me through some of the darkest moments of my life, when I lost 3 family members inside of 3 years, through the COVID pandemic, and through my fight with cancer, which I did win. I beat the cancer. I'm good. But yeah, they were there for me. They were my sweet little friends, my buddies through thick and thin. They gave me so much love and companionship, and I tried to give them the most amazing life I could, and I hope they felt that. I hope they felt my love and care back. Thank you, you two. I love you both dearly, and you will always be a part of me. Thank you so much for listening to this story about Dita, the fearless little fluffball. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe, share, comment, let YouTube know that you liked it. I really want this to be a positive, ongoing series that celebrates just how awesome our pets are and all that they do for us. So please help me get this get this little series, the Tales and Tales series, noticed by YouTube. That's the goal. I want to get this to other people. Thanks again for stopping by. I hope you have a great day. Bye.